Rappers before they were famous. Finding out what great rappers did for a living before they became famous can be a fun, interesting, and sometimes surprising experience. It is possible for a rapper's profession before their stardom to be unexpected, appropriate, or even odd. In the beginning, many artists were just starting in the workforce. To launch their careers as musicians, they required financial resources to cover the cost of studio time, equipment, and other resources. On the other hand, if music was not their ultimate objective at the moment, they simply needed money to help them make it through the world. There were a lot of rappers who worked in retail and had to contact with a lot of different individuals every day. The question arises as to whether or not the personality of more eccentric artists brought in a greater number of clients. Regardless of the circumstances, famous rappers are frequently living examples of the importance of achieving one's goals in life. They overlap when it comes to providing advice on this, but the outcomes are right in front of our eyes. We have compiled a list of 7 rappers who came from modest beginnings in the workforce, but have since become well known around the world. Number 7. Method Man, Statue of Liberty. Because this rapper's home state is well known, the profession that they held before their recognition is surprisingly fitting. Because Method Man is a member of the Wu-Tang Clan, he is considered to be a member of the rap royalty. In the Hulu original series Wu-Tang, an American saga, fellow New York rapper Dave East plays the character of Method Man, while Method Man himself has several acting jobs under his belt currently. On the other hand, before all of this, he had beginnings that were very modest and fitting. Approach one day, a man worked at the Statue of Liberty. He was employed there. On the other hand, he was never able to reach the top because he did not have the time to do so when he was on break. This line of thinking is not only ironic but also practical. Employees at landmarks are there to perform their jobs. They are not there to take pleasure in the sights as tourists. During his appearance on The Late Late Show with James Corden, Meth elaborated on this topic as well as others, and Gabriel Union responded to all of his anecdotes. Number 6. Ab-Soul, Magic Disc Music, Music Store. This is the profession that a rapper had before he became famous, and it is simultaneously unexpected and suitable. It is always fascinating to observe how musicians who formerly held careers in the music industry have transitioned into it in a new way. When Ab-Soul was younger, he worked at Magic Disc Music, which was his grandfather's record store. In an interview with Billboard in 2012, he made a passing reference to this employment, and he also mentioned it in the song Tree of Life, which was included on his album These Days, which was released in 2014. On the other hand, in an interview with NOISEY in 2013, he went into great detail on broadening his experience there. Throughout his career, Soul has been an artist who has always been willing to discuss his roots. In addition, he frequently recounts stories from his history through his music, which a great number of listeners like because it humanizes him and elevates him above the status of merely being another rapper. Number 5. Kid Cudi, BAPE. For as long as anyone can remember, Kid Cudi has been at the forefront of streetwear and the culture that surrounds it. It should not come as a surprise that he had a job at the BAPE NYC store in the past. In fact, it is rather appropriate. In an interview that was broadcast on Hot Ones, Kid Cudi claimed that at that particular moment in time, obtaining that employment was more important to him than obtaining a record deal. There are 3 distinct ways in which Cudi's career came full circle with this employment. As an artist, he had a performance there in the year 2010. The next year, in 2019, he collaborated with N.I. Joe, the founder of BAPE, to create a cover story for Complex. Finally, in the year 2021, he participated in an official collaboration with the company. This experience demonstrates that you can never completely know how much of an impact your first job can have on your whole life. Number 4. Tyler, the creator, Starbucks. Before he became famous, this was one of the most unusual occupations that a rapper has had. The artist known as Tyler, the creator, has always been one of a kind. The intensity that he exudes on stage is unparalleled and unrestrained, and his demeanor naturally grabs attention. Although Odd Future's days of being over the top are now behind him, they are still an important part of his history. It is also important to note that he worked at Starbucks in the past. The audience can contemplate how distracting it must have been for them to have Tyler working their shift. He is proud of the fact that he can create music whenever and however he pleases. When one considers him in a context where there is a hierarchy of command, it is extremely fascinating to think about him. He went so far as to tell a narrative about being fired while he was appearing on Jimmy Kimmel Live. He even declared, in a humorous manner, that he still detested his manager for firing him. Number 3. Nicki Minaj, waitress at Red Lobster. It is not true that Nicki Minaj has made any effort to conceal her background. Many people are aware that she formerly held a position at Red Lobster. She mentioned working at a particular location in New York, specifically. At this time, many are familiar with Nicki Minaj's personality as well as her speaking voice. Because she worked as a server, where she was required to interact with customers daily, is an intriguing thought. Nicki Minaj stated that she was not the best at that particular profession, and that the fact that she was unhappy there was a contributing factor in her decision to pursue a career in rapping. During a trip down memory lane, Nicki Minaj and Jimmy Fallon went to a Red Lobster as customers, and then they served actual customers as servers. This was a humorous and memorable experience. Number 2. Rick Ross, correctional officer. Throughout his whole career, people on various social media platforms have referred to Rick Ross as Officer Ricky. This is joked about, and there is also a dash of offense thrown in there. It is possible to observe Rick Ross's extravagant way of life in a variety of videos that are currently available, but he, like the majority of people, began his career with ordinary work. One of Rick Ross's previous jobs was as a correctional officer. This revelation caused people to chuckle and question at the same time, which is not surprising given the subject matter of Rose's raps about his past experiences. After a photograph of Ross in uniform started going around in the year 20XX, he denied that it was him. Naturally, he eventually conceded that it was when the documentary records demonstrated that it was the case. On the Full Send podcast, he went into great detail about his time spent working at this facility. He denied at first, which demonstrates that he was attempting to conceal his history, in contrast to our previous entries. Number 1. Diddy was an intern. There is a possibility that the most straightforward path on this list is the one that this rapper worked on before he became famous. When Diddy was just an intern for Andrew Harrell, he went on to become the business magnate that we are familiar with today. Quite a few people find this to be an uplifting tale. Diddy has become a household name over several decades, even though he has changed his name many times. Some people will always remember him as Biggie's manager, while others will always remember him as the one who established Bad Boy Records. Even though his leadership abilities have been critiqued, he has been making business maneuvers for years, which have also been brought under scrutiny. Because he has witnessed the evolution of the music industry in real time, he has reached the point where he can guide a new generation of musicians. Throughout his career, Diddy has received a great deal of accolades for his hard ethic, and the results speak for themselves. Which occupations did you find surprising that you did as a rapper? Share your thoughts with us in the comments box.